variables in JavaScript. Most of the time, a JavaScript application needs to work with information. For example, an online shop. The information might include goods being sold and a shopping cart, or, for example, chat application. The information might include user messages and any other information about chat. So, variables are used to store this information. A variable is a named storage of data. For data, we can use variables to store goodies, visitors, or other data. To create a variable in JavaScript, we need to use let keyword. Let. After that, we put a name, for example, name, and that's it. Now we created a variable. The statement shows that we created, or we can say declare, a variable with a name, or, for example, message. Now we can put some data into it by using the assignment operator. So this string is now saved into the memory area associated with the variable. We can access it using the variable name. For example, the same alert. Let's save it, reload, and we have the same hello world. Yes, yes. To be concise, we can combine the variable declaration and assignment into a single line. Usually we do it this case. It's the same but shorter. Also, we can declare a few variables in one line. So we have let message, for example, and semicolon in the end. But from readable perspective, I don't recommend you declare variables in one line. Why? Because when you have a huge file, you read and you see let, it means declaration of variable, you see message, but what's going on there next, usually you can skip it. So a few ways to solve the problem. The first one, you can split by new lines with one let, then you will see that it's let, and we have declaration of all variables. And another case, even more popular, you will split them absolutely to new lines and the new statements. So you have three variables. In case we splitted them into new variables let, we need to replace comma with semicolon. It's a new way, we can say modern way of declaring variables. In old code you can find var. It's very similar way to declaration, but it's old way, and right now we try to skip it and never use it. There are some differences, we will cover it later, but right now you need to remember that let it's everything what you need to create a variable. And so to understand what is a variable, let's imagine the box. Just a box, and box for data with a unique name on this box. Sticker, it's a sticker on this box. For instance, the variable message can be imagined as a box labeled message with the value hello. So it's what we put inside, it's hello. We can put any value in the box. We can also change it as many times as we want. So let's take a look. So we have message. Let's reassign new value. Or again, so you can change it as many times as you want. Also, we can create different values and copy values from one variable to another. For example, So we created new variable hello and assigned value from message, and now we can use both these variables. Hello new world and again hello new world, because of both these variables are showing the same value. And let's talk about variable naming. There are two limitations on variable naming in JavaScript. The first one, the name must contain only letters, digits, and two symbols, is $ and underscore. So we can name our variables just with any letters, even in for different languages. But usually we use just English letters. And the first character must not be a digit, so we can't create such variable. It will be mistake, but we can create such a variable. Also, we can create a variable with underscore. Let's try it. Hello works, and we can create with $. Saved. The same, it works. The next one, case matters. So variable names with the same characters but in different case, there are different variables. So let's imagine that we have let. So we have two different variables, and let's try remove this. So we have apple and we have apple. So it's two different variables. Text is the same, but uppercase and lowercase, it's two variables. Also, as I mentioned before, we can use variables with different names. For example, it's not English language, but anyway, it works. But very important, never use any other language but English. All your code should be written in English, because of this code should be supported by another people, and with the time we do not know who will handle this code. So always use just English language. The next one, it's reserved names. I mentioned before that we can name it any name we want, just the first character shouldn't be a number. But in the same case, we can create variable let, because of let is already a reserved name. The same names are class, we can create it, or return, for example, or even function. These words are reserved and we cannot use them. If we will try to create something like this one, let's take a look, and we have unexpected token function. Because of its error, we cannot use it. The next one, assign a variable without declaring this variable. So normally we need to define a variable before using it, but in the old times it was technically possible to create a variable by assigning this value to this variable without using let. This still works now if we don't put use strict in our scripts to maintain compatibility with old scripts. What does it mean? We can use this one. Let's take a look. So it works, but it works in the old way. It's not a good case and it's a bad sample. Always try to declare it with let. So in case we are using new modern way, what do we have? And we have error because of num is not defined. So it's a sample how we can use strict. If we will put let, problem is solved. The next one what I want to talk is constants. To declare a constant, we need to use const instead of let. So, const. What is a const? Variables declared using const are called constants. They cannot be reassigned. An attempt to do so would cause the error. So, let's take a look. We have num5 and we try num, reassign it to next one. For example, let's take a look, and we have error because of assignment to constant variable. So it means that we cannot change value of this variable. When programmer is sure that a variable will never change, this programmer can declare it with const to guarantee and clearly communicate that fact to everyone. So this variable won't be changed. So there is a widespread practice to use constants as alias for difficult to remember values that are known prior to execution. Such constants are named using capital letters and underscores. For example, some colors we want to save. So it's difficult to remember value of color, but when you save it to const, you can use it in your code. That's it. So from best practices and code readability, constants are usually declared with uppercase with underscore for separate words. So benefits of using this approach. The first one, for example, blue color is much easier to remember than 00F. The next one, it's much easier to mistype 00F than blue color. Even right now I have a mistake because of we need to put special character for colors. And when reading the code, blue color is much more meaningful than this value. So name things right. Talking about variables, there's one more extremely important thing. A variable name should have a clean, obvious, meaningful describing the data that it stores. So if you create a name for a variable, this variable name should describe what you're saving into this variable, this data. Variable naming is one of the most important and complex skills in programming, really. A quick glance at variable names can reveal which code was written by a beginner versus an experienced developer. In a real development, most of our time we spend for modifying and changing already created code, and it's very important to understand what this code means just by reading the names of variables and functions. So, please spend time thinking about the right name for a variable before declaring it. Doing so will repay you handsomely. Some good to follow rules are: use human readable names like username, shopping cart. Stay away from abbreviation or short names like ABC. So let A be See, it's terrible approach because of you don't know what does it mean. Instead, you can use for example. The next one is make your names maximum descriptive and concise. Example of bad names are, for example, let data. It's a bad name, and the next one, let value, it's another bad sample because of it doesn't describe what it saves. Value of what? Such samples say nothing. It's only okay to use them if the context of the code makes it exceptionally obvious which data or value or variable is referencing. The next one, agree on terms within your team and in your own mind. If a site visitor is called a user, then we should name related variables as current user or new user instead of current visitor or a new man in town. So remember about these rules. And summary. To declare a variable we are using let. To declare a variable which won't be changed we use const. We do not use var anymore, and we try to declare these names of variables very descriptive, and if we read this name we understand what is saved inside this variable.